Yeah. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Questionable Perspective Podcast. My co host will not be joining me today, so I'll be soloing here. I am PhD Joshua, and joining me is Mr. Tyler, known as Draw and Talk. How you doing,
What up?
sir?
What up? I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you accepted my invite. Now,
Okay.
you have been, I'd say, not an underdog in the indie comic scene, but I've seen you. You've got like at least what about 10 works put out so far, miniseries.
Um, sure. Yeah, I've in terms of like my own work, yeah, that's probably about right.
And I think you've done some work with Tim and Pelly a little bit.
No, I've never done work with them.
What?
Friends, they're good friends. But I've never done work with them. Just hung out with them. Good guys. Great guys.
Man, yeah.
I'm gonna try and get I'm gonna try to get a cover with Tim on one of my next books, but Tim's typically like super busy, and he doesn't do a lot of commission work that isn't like iconic comics or Common America related. But we're gonna see. I might use my one friend favor on this one on one of these.
I, dude, if y'all did like a comic together between Douglas's writing, Pelly's writing, you and Tim's like drawing and all that, that would be something quite astounding.
That'd be fun. That's seriously that'd be fun. The thing about those guys, man, like they've got the next like 5+ years locked in. Like you don't have to ask them like, oh, what's the plan? Like they've got the plan. Like they know like what they're doing, and the stories they're like super driven. They've got so many things in the works. Yeah, I think it would be super cool to do something with them. I don't see it happening just because I know how crazy their work is. That's why I'm like, I just gotta sneak in one cover.
You probably sneak in as a cameo like Florka Cows does all the time.
I do have a couple cameos throughout Common America.
Oh,
So
I'm gonna
that
have to
that
go
is fun.
reread
That is
and
fun.
find those.
Yeah, I know I've got like 2 or 3 throughout the series.
What now for our viewers? How did you start out in the indie scene? I assume I think I did a little looking around. You started like what, 2013, 2014? I might be wrong.
2015.
Oh, okay, a couple of years off.
No, you're good. Yeah, you're good. So I got into comics like really late. Like really, can you hear me by the way?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cuz like my freaking like I'm watching, I keep bumping up my sound, and then it just like
Can you hear me
goes
okay?
down. Yeah, I can hear you great. I see it like go down. Like I'll raise the volume up and then it'll go down. And I'm like, why is it doing this? No, so I got into comics in 2015. I got into comics super late. So like as a 19-year-old, I was like, I want to make comics. I was making comics like in middle school, but like I wasn't like reading. I wasn't like reading like a lot of comics. I had one friend who had like a weekly Shonen Jump that his mom got him, and I was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my whole life." And I was just like, and he like, and then we did some bad things. His mom kicked him out. He got kicked out of school. But and like on the last day, he was like, "Here, you have this." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is amazing." And I read the stories in there like multiple times. Like Naruto had just started one in there. One Piece was going. Yu-Gi-Oh, and so Yu Hakusho. So I was like, this is the best book. So I made my own comic book series. I still have it to this day. It's called The Quiet Spine. It's like living in a box. It's like over 500 pages. But anyways, I'm 19 years old. It's 2011, and I decided like I want to start making comic books again. And I'm Mormon, so I started reading comic books, and then I went on a Mormon mission for 2 years in South Africa. And the whole time I was like, just like I want to make comics, get back. I get back and to the States, and I buy myself a Wacom Intuos tablet, my drawing shit. I'm realizing my drawing shit. But I have all these story ideas. So I realized that it's really expensive to hire an artist. So and my art was so bad, but it was good enough that I could charge like I would charge $200 for a 20-page comic, penciled, inked, and colored and lettered.
Wow.
And so writers would be like, heck yeah, I'll take that deal. And I had a very cartoony style at the time. And it would only take me like maybe a week or two to do their comics. And so I would get that $200, do their comics, and then I would use that money to pay an artist, and that's pay another artist to do my stuff. And that's how my series Demons was self-funded, is like for every like three or four comics that I did for others, I was able to get like one or two issues for myself. And then I was still coloring that demons book. So yeah, like just started like making comics in 2015. I ended up with a small indie publisher. They went down, and when they crashed and burned, and I got my rights back for my series and realized, oh my gosh, I don't have like an actual audience. I started like building up my whole draw and talk persona, started like my email list, started to learn like how to make YouTube videos, and just been going strong since. Well, I don't know about strong. I've just been going.
Well, I'd say you're doing pretty well. I mean, it took some of these folks out here quite a long time to build up an audience. I mean, Stanley and what, Jack Kirby, but Stanley didn't. It was his last hurrah in the comics of Spider-Man. Didn't do well, and some people get their start early in life. Sometimes it's later in life. But as far as I'm,
Yeah.
go ahead.
What I was gonna say, yeah, I think I think the thing that was like the toughest thing for me to like, I was thinking about doing a Twitter post about this today, is that when I was like before I had kids, so like probably like 7 years ago, I was, oh my gosh, I feel old saying that. 7 years ago, I remember like I would do live streams with all these various creators, and they're like, oh, like we're dads, we have jobs, it's so hard. And I remember being this young guy being like, no, you gotta hustle, you gotta make these comics, you gotta do this. And now that I'm a dad and like I've got like 2 kids, one on the way, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if I have time to make comics. I don't know if I'm gonna do this shit. I don't know if I'm gonna do this shit. Like I think about quitting. I think about quitting like once a week. So yeah, like if everything was to, if you were to be like, hey Tyler, you can't make comics anymore, it's crash and burn, I'd be like, all right, well, it happened. I got to do a thing for a bit.
That kind of happens sometimes. But I
It
mean, there
does.
you can. I've seen people there, if they're really dedicated to something and they really want to do it, they will find the balance that works for them. Like some people, I come from a background of doing graphic design. I haven't done it in like a year and a half, just because I've been so concentrating on my workplace because can't find good help. And I'm full time and I can only do so much, and they can only provide so much overtime.
Uh-huh.
I'm going from the IT guy to the plumber at times. I might be giving Mario a run for his money. Soon I might be a doctor. But I understand that there's one guy I had as a mentor. He does a daily comic, all that. He's got his own print shop and everything he does at his own home, in home. And I've seen some
Wow.
of the projects he does and all that. And he runs like a 6-figure business. Now, me and him kind of had a little bit of a fallout, yada 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 politics. So I'll leave him be. I hope everything goes well for him. I learned a lot from him. My drawing still sucks, but I'm working on that. Hopefully that'll be better a couple of years using a little not Wacom. It's a
XP pen.
XP Pen Artist second generation. A little small, but
Gotcha.
it makes do for
It gets the job.
$200. But
Yeah, those things
man,
are good.
I got a buddy, one of my best friends. He's getting an artist. He's got the story in his head and everything. And I've seen some of the artist sketches and all this that he sent me. I was like, oh man. And he found out I was talking to you. So a little list of questions for you to answer later on if you I'm just like,
I'm
oh,
ready.
man.
I don't know if I'll be a help, but I'm ready for him.
But man, let's see. What out of, I guess, since we spoke a little bit about there's always been some sort of drama I see, and I don't want to like make this sound like it's high school drama, but it's just like I see one guy, when I first paid attention to the indie scene, Cyberfrog was really starting to kick off. That looked cool. Was looking through other stuff, found Common America. I was like, what is this? And this was when I was like paying more attention to things politically and all that. And I was like, okay, oh, this is really good. Start telling some of my friends about it. I tell, if I find something that is like amazing,
I'm telling people.
I am the best advertisement. You'll get word of mouth. I put my money where my mouth is. If a video game is worth every penny I have bought it, I will review it. I will put the time and effort to advertise it for free because I love it that much. But I looked further and further through all these indie scenes, and I'm like, Kickstarter, I'm like, all right, start with this. If this flubs out, and this is when Marvel movies were pretty big
going
still.
Downhill.
And okay. Then it was like 2015, so we're nearing Endgame, Infinity War, around there. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that's pretty much that. I'll give Marvel this credit. They were able to do what most movie companies wish they could do. And that's go beyond a trilogy that tells a really good story. And as long as you don't include Captain Marvel, you got 20 movies that's like amazing. And they were just like, all right, Iron Man 2008, Robert Downey Jr. just came out of being I think rehab or whatever, being an alcoholic. So almost the perfect typecasting for Tony Stark. And what is it? Was it Brandon Fraser? He was stuck as Hercules, not Brandon Fraser. God, what was that gentleman's name? Played as Hercules on the TV shows in the 90s.
Oh, I have no idea. I was like 5.
Well, and kind of Robert Downey Jr. got kind of stuck in the typecasting, but he made so much money, so it's kind of hard for him to complain. But he also
he's fine.
He did really good as Sherlock Holmes too. He could do other movies. It's just you're in a locked in contract for that long. But anyways, going from the rambling of like random movies. All right, let's get everything together, and they put such together such a anthology. I don't think anybody else is going to beat that for quite some time.
No, I don't think so either. It's they pulled off yeah, I mean they pulled off something that like it's a period of time that like will always be like I feel like you could tell your kids about it and they'll be like, I don't believe you. Like that didn't happen, and you're like, no, it did, and it was awesome. And
it's like with the early internet, you had to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, to get back on the weird little drama bit, and I don't understand this because this is just me. I left drama in high school, drama club and all that. I don't have time for that. Like ain't nobody got time for that anymore. People trying to start pettiness. What is I don't know the gentleman's name, and you don't have to say his name because I feel just I know the Arthur for Cyberrock. He always seems to like give all the iconic guys trouble. I've seen him try to give Eric July, who's done the Ripperverse stuff, some lip at times, and I just sit here. I'm like, bro, don't you got like promises on a lot of your
Stuff to
Kickstarters
do.
that you
Don't you
need
got
to
stuff to
uphold?
do? Yeah, I mean, you would think that. I mean, the thing about that is like people like Ethan Van Sciver. Um, I don't know if you wanted me to say that or not. But
We're past the 30 seconds. If you have to say a cuss word, you're allowed to. I'm
no,
not
you're
going to sit
good.
here punish you.
The thing about like creators like Ethan Van Sciver is that, in my opinion, like they came from an industry that is very drama filled. Like mainstream comics is just drama filled, and I feel like the reason why, and I think the reason why it's even in the indie scene as well, um, is because there's like this inherent like like there's this feeling that there's like a lack of opportunities and money. And like, I mean, think about like this: you're working for DC and Marvel. You want to you want to work on Batman. That's your dream. You want to work on Batman. But there's only one Batman title. So like only one person can be writing Batman at a time. And if you talk shit about so and so, there's a possibility then that they get removed off of Batman, and now the Batman slot is up for grabs. And now you could have a chance of you know, writing Batman or drawing Batman. So like that's kind of where that drama stems from, is there's this feeling of this belief of scarcity. And then also just like, I don't know, everyone's pretending to be a fake friend, I guess. Um like they act like people act like, oh, like I have might have like your best interest in for you, but really everyone is trying to do things that will better their career. And so I don't know, that's why you have like, or you have people who think like things should be a certain way, and they're bothered when people don't agree with their way of thinking. I mean, so like for me, like a big thing that I really believe in is I love having discussions with people, and I love putting my ideas out to the world, and then like having them challenged, and then go back and forth with people. And a lot of times in the indie scene, people take that as confrontation, when it's really like I'm just talking. Like I just want to talk. And like once we're done, like I'll say my point, and I will like defend my point, but I'm not gonna think that you should like die afterwards. Like, or and I think that's the problem, is there is a lot of creators who do think that way, who are like, I don't know, everyone's just it's a very sensitive gay industry. everyone's a crybaby.
Yeah, I'm guessing, and I'm trying to think here because it's like 80s, 90s, early 2000s. I mean, after the 90s comic crash, it definitely changed a lot of people. I would say, especially some of those older veterans. But it's sad to see some of these, like Marvel and DC, even though they've done it to themselves with all the crap they have pushed. because I don't know if anybody remembers with Marvel, there was the oh goodness, there were the New Warriors. One, you had two characters. One was named Safe, and the other one was Space. And you
Oh
had
yeah, yeah.
one,
Safe space.
yeah. And then there was one that was transformed into a bat by internet gas. And I'm just
I don't
reading
know.
this. It it didn't last long. It never even made to a first issue. This is the concept they introduced, and then it just like quietly swept it under the rug. One of the best things I've seen them do, you may have read it. This is from DC. It was Batman's White Knight, and I'm
Oh,
like,
by Sean Gordon Murphy.
and it was a good short series. That the biggest.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was great with you. Yeah, it's super good.
And I'm just sitting here. I'm like, you all have like the big event for Batman Dark Metal. Cool concept and everything. One of the better events they had was like the War of the Rings for the Green Lanterns. That's what a friend introduced me to. And I'm just blown away by it. Still, some of the and this Alex Ross, that man, I'll never be able to reach his status as an artist. But man, his writing and the art he has done for Kingdom
Oh, good.
Come, that is one of the best stories you will probably read out of graphic novel wise out of DC. But it's just like these long drawn out series they're pumping out so much of. It's like just do miniseries. You could have so many people like some of the films they put out, like DC's animated films. A majority that was their movie anthology. They did all the way up to Justice League, Dark Side Wars. That was really
Oh yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah. Well,
And
the problem with the like, in my opinion, with the animated ones, is that they took from the source material, but like weren't necessarily like faithful to it, because you had like the Court of Owls with like Damien, and then you had like, yeah, the Dark Side War, and then it leads like ends with the Flashpoint. So I mean, I think the problem with DC and Marvel is just like you have all these you have all these like fans who really stick to the canon. Like I see a lot of discussion right now on like, James Gunn's Batman. Like James Gunn says that he's gonna have a younger Batman, and he's gonna have a younger Batman, and Damian Wayne is going to be the Robin. And a lot of people online are freaked out because they're like, well, does that mean there's no Dick Grayson? Does that mean there's no Tim Drake? Does that mean there's no Jason Todd? And it's what's hard is that like those are like good like fan questions, but at the same time, like it doesn't really like necessarily matter, because like the canon's different. He could just choose to ignore like comic book canon and go, yeah, there's just no Tim Drake, or there's just no Jason Todd. And so to me, I think I think some of the reasons why DC and Marvel struggles is, one, because of their canon, but also two, I semi blame the fan base as well, because the fan base doesn't allow for new ideas to happen. And I think like what we've seen is you've seen a lot of people, like you've seen them try to go like, okay, let's, how do we appease the fans, but it still like doesn't mesh. And currently I think the best way that we've seen is the Absolute Universe, where they're like, okay, let's just refresh and reiterate. It's still Batman, but his parents didn't die, they're middle class. And I think we're seeing that's actually that is working, where it's just start from zero, reiterate, create a whole universe. And I think people are enjoying that a lot
that
more.
that universe is pretty brutal because like everybody that's in for the most part is in Batman's rogue gallery, from Pennywise to Mr. Freeze. They were all like his friends growing up. Like
Yeah,
Bane's just all right, call a plot, crack. And just like you see him just in the hospital bed, he's going to look like a freaking penguin after
yeah,
that.
and it's super cool. It's super cool, and so like to me, I've always felt like the best way to get new fans or to like have a resurgence of popularity is that they just have to start from zero. They have to start from zero again, create a whole new canon, a whole new timeline, and just say, hey, everything that happened didn't happen anymore. And this is fresh. This is what we're doing. And, an example of that is also like when Marvel did the Ultimate Universe. Like that was a really big hit. People really liked that tone ish. When they did that, when they had like Mark Millar and whatnot, it was a little too gritty. But yeah, I think canon is a company's and fans' worst enemy. And I think what they're doing with the Absolute Universe, I hope to see like a main DC universe, an Absolute Universe, and then like five other, and then like a White Knight universe, and just multiple universes, and you can tell the
It's just
stories that you want in unique ways.
that's all I've ever asked for. Like when they were we'll use the example of the Ultimates universe. All right, it's disappearing. Then they brought it back, but when it was disappearing, okay, we're gonna have Miles Morales join the main Marvel universe. All right, I got no issue with that. But the problem is there's so many Spider-Men, and it's you can't really, and like Peter Parker is the Spider-Man. You can have
Mm-hmm.
thousands of variants of him. It doesn't matter what background they come from. The majority everybody cares about is Peter Parker. What I wish they would have done, and it probably would have been probably one of the best things for Miles Morales, is to take the role of the Prowler, even though he's not related to that said Prowler, the main Marvel universe. But if he would have took on that mantle and be like Spider-Man, I was like, just like shaking my head. There was, and I'll just use this as a side example. I thought was a great take or a refresh on Spider-Man. Someone by the name of, I believe their artist name is Deputy Rust. He does his own thing. I think it's the Iron Ranger, but he came up with a concept for Spider-Man, and I thought it was really cool, called Maximum Spider. But instead of you having Felicia Hardy as Black Cat, Mary Jane was Black Cat.
That's cool.
And I'm like, and see, I like these. I like just a different take on it. I, it would, and as you said, it's a double edged sword having a mainline canon, but have your mainline canon, but get creative. Like with DC, it was the White Knight, Kingdom Come. Just get creative. You
Well, they
don't.
can't. Well, the problem is they can't be creative on the main line. So if you can't be creative on the main line, start making a bunch of sidelines.
Well, don't have
That's my opinion.
too many. That was one of their bigger problems too, as they were just publishing way too many damn stories.
Oh yeah, fair. Yeah.
I was like, here, have the main story and then like 5 side stories, or like some just one-off short comics that will
Yeah.
actually probably do really well. And
Yeah. Have a bunch of like graphic novels.
they would probably make so much money off that. Like the biggest resurgence I've seen for Ninja Turtles was The Last Ronin. That I've seen Ninja Turtles ever be relevant in the past like 30 years I've been alive. Because
See,
after the 90s movies, it was kind of it for them for a while.
everyone's like, "Oh wow." Yeah, and I see. I'm like, I'm not a Turtles fan, so I'm like, I don't like. I have zero opinions on
That
on the Turtles because I'm
listen,
not a
that
Turtles
is
fan.
understandable. I grew up watching Power Rangers and that god awful live action the Ninja Turtle show. It wasn't that
Hmm.
terrible, but for TV at the time, not to drive all too far, it was it Power Rangers in space at the time, and then what's her name turned the turtles evil, and they were fighting the Power Rangers. Like, that's pretty cool, but it's just some plots just are I think already played out because I remember looking up a lot of the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics. Like, man, Donatello went through hell. He went from being in a robotic body and all this and that. I like, damn, the original Turtle stuff was pretty brutal.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary about it. It made me like go, oh, maybe I'll pick up a Turtles comic, and I was just like, man, this is not the campy stuff that I thought like the series was.
The
Like the
TV show
original.
from the 80s really painted it in a different picture.
Yeah, yeah, which is like, that's good. Like that's good marketing right there. That's what you want. That's how you get it into the masses.
And it's like, even we'll take, try not to go all over the place, but like we'll take like Ultraman and Common Rider. What's his name that did? Oh God, I always forget his name. But he did the Evangelion series and did the Rebuild series. And he's like, all right, Shin Kamen Rider, fresh new coat of paint. Ultraman, fresh new coat of paint. And they're breaking successes even over here, of all places at times. When I know my local theater is getting these films, they've done something right.
Hmm.
But it's I'm something's gonna happen to Marvel soon. I don't know about DC because they're both kind of sitting on their. Wasn't WB just picked up by somebody?
I have
Uh,
no idea.
I try to pay attention to them, but the indie stuff's just so much more impressive because it's the thing. When it comes to like pricing and everything, iconic, the Ripperverse, y'all have it down. Y'all have it down to the exact science. When it comes like a Kickstarter, say for Common America, $10 or $5 for just the PDF, $10 for maybe a hard, like, I mean, an actual hardcover comic that's colored and it's over 60 pages. When it would cost you for something like a issue of Batman or Spider-Man, it's less than 20 pages, $6, $7. And now I know people don't consider, comic purists try to always do this, and I'm like, you can't disassociate comics without manga, because manga is Japanese comics. I know, yes, there is a difference, but it's like they're both competitors to one another. But when I can go buy a 100-page volume 1 of Naruto or something, or Dragon Ball, and it's just in black and white for like $10 to $12, that's that's more bargain for my bunny. And that's what some people want, especially nowadays, right now with the economy being as tight as it is. But y'all hit the nail on the head. It's like, but when it comes to the process of comics, I know you have to paint for an inker, a colorer, someone to draw up the comic pages, do the writing. That's like 5 people right there. And then you've got you, and I think you have one other guy that's just you two to do your own thing. And then Tim and them, they got their whole team dedicated, but they have everything down to the science of like what they wanted to do. And after
Hmm.
hearing how how iconic from Douglas, how iconic came to be, I was just like, right place, right time. And I'm assuming soon you're going to be. I bet my bottom dollar. This is just me spitballing. I'm going to see your stuff on Iconics, and I'm just Like I said, I'm just
Oh,
spitballing. But I will see your stuff
oh,
there
you think
probably
that?
soon. I don't
No,
know.
no, probably not. I mean, I don't know if my stuff like it's their brand. I could always, they have an open submission. Like, I don't know if people know that. Like, they have an open submission. Anyone can can submit to iconic. So like I could like submit to iconic. Like I choose not to.
You never
I
know,
could.
man. The road not traveled. Traveler,
I
try it
think
once.
I think like a thing for me, and this kind of goes back to like what I was talking about with like the like understanding like where you're at like at the time in life. Like right now with what Tim and Mark have going and like all those guys, like they are like comics like are their life. Like that is their livelihood. um that's how they're making their money. Like that's how they're supporting themselves. And like for me, it's not something that um is gonna support me and my family. And like I have I just have, for me personally, I have like a different road, um like life planned. Like to me, I think I posted the video either this year or last year. Like I've had for like the longest time like a goal to be like a professional like comic book artist, and to have that be like how I make my livelihood and whatnot. And I got a taste of it 2 years ago, and of I hated every aspect of doing comics full time. Um, like I got to experience it, and I hated it. It was awful. And so now now I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna do comics for fun, and if good things come out of it, great. And if nothing comes out of it, that's fine, because I'm still gonna do it. And I think it's like now I'm in this point, I'm like learning how to enjoy that aspect, if that makes sense.
That
Because
is
for
its.
like, because
Go
for
ahead.
like for 5 years, I was making like daily YouTube videos, for 3 live streams a month. Sorry, yeah, three live streams a week. Like I was doing everything that I could. Um, and yeah, nowadays I'm just like, you know what? Like if I live stream this week, that's great. If not, just I didn't live stream. And it's definitely it's weird being in this headspace. Um, but no, like it's working out. I enjoy it.
Well, as you said, you got to
This is
find
like
out what
that's
works
probably
for you.
the most depressing answer. I probably gave like the most depressing answer
No,
to
no,
your
that is
question.
the actually the best answer you can give, as you have to find what works for you. Some people or can be industry people. Some like I I think we'll use an example. I worked for GameStop for like a couple of years. I could do it, but it felt like being a used car salesman, and I hated it. This is not what I thought it was going to be. That I just like, you got to make sure you meet these numbers, make sure everybody gets a pro card, make sure they get the Game Informer subscription. And there's like two other GameStops in the area. I'm like, brother, everybody and their grandma got a freaking pro card within this town. Well, you couldn't sell anybody a magazine subscription anymore if you tried. But you have to find what works for you. I tried playing fighting games at to a somewhat, and I semi quote this, professional level. I did esports stuff. That was a nightmare. That was a year and a half of nightmare. I never want to do again in my life. I stick to doing like local tournaments, making sure they run well. We do local events for Cherry Blossom Festival once a year. I'm slowly getting away from that because the nut jobs that are it's their show. So I'm I call them nut jobs, but they're turning it into a comic. They're turning it into a convention. I'm like, I did that for 5 years. That was fun, but my friends that were doing it, they over started it. They wanted their own like uh New York Comic Con and all that. I was like, and they rented out the stadium that's not far from me. I was like, that's a lot of money. You got to meet some ends, and most of the staff was volunteer. Like, oh my goodness. But I mean, it was fun. I've done um I did it's like 6 was it no 4 to 6 years of doing Christian concerts with a buddy, small time artists and all that. Met some really good artists. I hope they're doing well. I think some of them kind of just fell off. I think some of them are still doing well. Anyways, um it's I, you got to kind of find what works for you. I've been streaming for God knows how many years, fighting the algorithm. I've never really taken YouTube seriously till like now. Me and a buddy has been doing this the Questionable Perspective podcast for a while. I had an idea. Let's try this out. He started his own podcast. And I mean, I know what the grind it takes fighting the algorithm. I was like, let's review this comic. If a movie's coming out, you want to do a review on it. I was like, you know what? I'm not killing myself. I want to put this out when I feel it's appropriate. I've written it out script or whatever. Or me and my buddy will do an off the cuff review. Like me and my buddy, we did a review for Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. It's a great film, but boy, oh boy, some of those memory scenes drag on a little too long. It's the only bad thing I have to say about it. But um, it's you got to kind of as you said. I mean, you did it for 5 years. You got to put yourself in certain positions to find what works for you. I believe someone said
Yes.
you have to apply to something you're unqualified for to find out if you're actually even going to be qualified for it later.
Well, that's a good perspective. Yeah.
Because I didn't think I was going to be good at computers, but yet I had to teach my store manager what an email was. That was an experience. And now I'm trying to keep a camera system alive that still runs on Windows XP alive. Ah, you have no idea how annoying that is, especially being over 18 years old. Whew. But we'll get moving a bit more onto this. What is your creative process for where do you pull some of these ideas from? What inspires you to do some of the comics you've done?
You know, like there, it's all very like different. Like, so for example, um, yeah, like it all really depends. So the growth, my series, the growth of Megafist, for example, I was doodling at work, and a coworker is like, oh, like I'm doodling this character, and he goes, oh, like that, she looks cool, like who is she? And I'm like, I don't know, it's just some girl with the mega fist. And it was like a like moment. um and so that like made me like want to dive more into like this character, and then kind of like started working my way backwards on the story, like, okay, like why does she have the mega fist? What is this world like? What's the conflict? And so like that's how that particular story came about. But then if I look at my series, My Sexy Witch Academia, that one started off as a Kickstarter experiment, where someone was like, "Can you? Is it possible to? Is there a Kickstarter algorithm? Can you launch a comic book with on a secret account, don't advertise it, and get it funded?" And so I crafted this like parody book, um, that would like it was like a science experiment. Like, what should the name be? What should the characters look like? Also, I could like see if I could game this algorithm, and then I did. Um, and I was like, hey guys, like check this out. And then that book originally was supposed to be a Harry Potter parody, and it ended up I ended up like changing it at the end and being like changing the story to actually something that like I really liked. That's like completely brand new. So like fans will read the first one and go like, oh, they can see the Harry Potter elements. And then by book two, they're like, oh, all that's gone. This is a completely original story. And by three, they're like, okay, like we're into this. And then and because of that experiment of My Sexy Witch Academia, someone on Twitter was like, Tyler didn't do anything special. He could have made the Mario Brothers female, made a comic and made money off of that. And I was like, challenge accepted. And I grabbed I grabbed a story that I had created a long time ago that I tried workshopping with a bunch of friends. Like it was like I was very inspired by the show Supernatural, and I was like, oh, I really like the story about like, you know, two brothers solving supernatural what's, and every time I would show the story to people, they'd be like, yeah, like this sucks. Like this story is dog shit. And I just kept shelving it. And so finally I was like, man, what if I still do the story that I want to do, but I just do it with this gender swapped, you know, Mario and Luigi. And so that's how that story came about is I just took an old story that that I'd been workshopping and just made it not dark, made it a little more comedic. I still have the story that I wanted to tell. It's just I workshopped it a little different. The current book that I'm promoting, Bullet Assassin: Living in a Fantasy World, that book is about that book's actually like really personal. Everyone thinks that like, oh, it's just some gimmick book about like some like hot like redhead. It's like, no, like if you read the story, it's about this assassin who felt like she gave all of her like trust and like commitment to a boss that then like betrays her, kills her, and then she wakes up in this fantasy world with an AR-15 and is like, I'm gonna kill all these goblins. And you find out that like one of the goblins resonates is like a reincarnation of like her boss. And she's like, okay, I have to kill all the goblins. But like that story stemmed from the fact that I left like I left a job that I loved because I met this guy named Dave, freaking Dave, and he had this company and he was promised me all this crap. And I like worked really hard. I'd like go in the mornings really early trying to like figure out how I could better his business. And then he laid me off like 30 days later and it like ruined my life for like 6 months. So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna make a comic about me like killing you. So that's where that book came from. The Cthulhu murders, I wanted to see like if I could do like a noir story, but like have it be interactive with the reader. And then sometimes you just do like funny, silly books, like My Cute Coworker Wants to Kill Me and Then Marry Me. Like sometimes you just like want to do stupid stuff where it's like, what if this guy joined this company and the only way that he could become CEO is he had to survive his first day. This company has a tradition where the person who's in charge of them like tries to kill them. Like that's just something that like happens in the coworker space. And so yeah, like the ideas just come from like different places. Like to me, I'm like, is this something that I can have fun with? Like that's step one. And then step two, do I actually have like a story that I want to tell? You know, I'm fulfilling a book currently called Blackjack Duelist. I played blackjack to save my world, and I teamed up with artist Jose Garcia for that book. And originally we were supposed to do a different story called Our Music Kills Kaiju, and I just like I liked the idea, so check. But then I was having fun with the idea, so like that's the first check mark. But then the second check mark was like I actually have a story I could tell, and I just could not crack the story. I just like felt no reason to tell that story. I could care less about everything, so we scrapped it and we changed it to the story that we eventually released. So like I do that a lot. Like I'll come up with ideas for stories and I'll be like, I really like this, but then you won't really see me put out more effort on it if I don't actually feel like I have like a deeper personal connection to that story. Like right now I'm working on a comic called Finding Clues with Detective Blue, and it's a Blue's Clues parody. And you have like Steve, who is this like very hardened, old, almost retired detective, and he's being called, and he's like a semblance. He resembles like the old ways of the world. It's a sci-fi story, and then you have this. You have his sidekick, this new detective, Blue, and she is very young, bubbly. She uses AI. She uses AI. She uses robots, all the tech, and like they are like this like right now the story I'm trying to like I don't know form right now is like the relationship between like the old ways and new ways, trying to solve like that relationship between like technology and like being grounded, but then also like how does this like father daughter like relationship kind of connect. And so to me, like I like to come up with like fun concepts, like fun stupid concepts, and then it's once I have this fun, stupid concept, do I actually have a story that I want? Is there a story that like I can fuse in there that's personal? Another example, last one is this one I'm also working on called, and right now I just have the idea. So for all I know, like I never make this, but the idea is called Cardmaster Heartbreaker, and basically it's about this girl and she is dating these five different guys, and she's like, okay, I've got to pick one of you, and we're gonna play this trading card game. And if you lose in the trading card game, you die. But if you and so there's only gonna be one man standing, and whoever wins will be the like person I marry. And that's like the concept. But now it's like, okay, like how do I weave a story into this? Like that's what I'm workshopping currently. So yeah, just two steps. Do I have a fun, stupid, fun concept that I enjoy, and then can I find a story within there?
And I think you drove the point home. It's all about fun. If
Yeah,
you're not,
dude. If it's not about fun, then like what's the point?
you got to have fun making it. If you're not having fun making it, and you're beating your head over about it, that project ain't worth it. I like some of those concepts you
Yeah,
come up
exactly.
with. Some of it sounds the Blues Clues one sounds very I'm not going to compare it to Blade Runner, but sounds very sci-fi noir.
Oh, that's like I'm so glad you said that because that's probably what it would look like. Honestly, is it has that Blade Runner feel?
Well, you kind of reminded me of the old show Sherlock Holmes in the 21st and a half century with that
I've
concept. I was like, I don't think anybody remembers this show. It was quite good for its time, but other than that, um, while you were talking about a bullet assassin living in a fantasy world, I did show off the Kickstarter, and I'm going to re-show it here, folks. This is not a paid promotion whatsoever. I'm looking at you, YouTube. I'm not going to have you try to shoot me over this. This is free publicity because this is actually a really cool concept. And you
Oh,
folks,
thanks.
as the publishing of this video, you will have about less than 48 hours to fund this thing. So the link
Yeah,
will be down
probably.
below. I
Thank you.
think
Yeah, it's a fun story. Um I think a lot of people were like the very first chapter is very violent. Like I kind of hit with a banger. I'm like, man, like here we go, boom. And it like really slows down. Like chapter two very much slows down. Chapter three slows down, and then like it ramps up at the end because chapter four is the finale of the series. And so I'm hoping that people will like the build up of chapter three and want to end the series with us on a strong note.
From what I can tell, I think y'all will end on a strong note. I mean, the super
Fingers
plumber
crossed.
sisters was not something I was expecting. You took the Samuel L. Jackson approach on Snakes on a Plane approach with that one. You're like, all right, you didn't bet me, but I bet you I can make a comic out of this, and you did.
Oh yeah, I mean like nothing like challenges me more than like a dare of like you couldn't do this. It's like watch me, like I'll make this good, and it's been a successful series. I'm like semi sad that the series has ended. Like I'm currently finishing up the final like 15 pages of chapter 4, and then we'll go off to fulfillment, and you know now that series is done. But it's funny that like how did this series start? Oh, someone said I couldn't do this, and I did it. So yeah, I liked it. I have fun with that stuff.
Most likely, if you remember, I don't know if you ever heard this or not, but Dr. Seuss was dared to make a bunch of rhyming books, and look what happened.
Oh, for real? I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
funny.
that's what I remember looking up. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong in comments. I'm sure they will.
That's
Now,
hilarious. That's hilarious.
it's funny what happens. Like, what? Bet I'll do it, and becomes rich off of it. And the other guy's just like,
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have made that bet. Now,
Yeah,
I do have 4 questions for you from my buddy, and I'm
I'm
sure this
ready.
will go for some people that are up and coming or may want to consider doing comic. All right. Okay, first question is, what advice would you have for a new writer developing a book?
A new writer developing a book. I think like one make it. I guess for like a new writer, like a new writer. If it's a new writer, I think that they need to start with a one shot, a 20-page story. Like learn how to make a 20-page story, because if you're making comics and you're just a writer and you have to pay for an art team, like that gets so expensive. And you might find out like the amount of people that I've seen burn out or just not being able to get past it, their issue 1 is very sad. There's so many people who like they put out an issue 1 and they never did anything more than that. And you could tell by the end of reading that issue 1, you're like, wow, like we didn't even get started with the story. And so to me, if you can write a 20-page story, invest in an artist, and there's in that story there's a beginning, middle to end, then like that's something that you can have forever, and it could grow from something else. Like I just see a lot of like, even for myself, every comic creator is like, I have this really big story, it's going to be so epic, it's going to be like 50 issues, and then like it's just never happens. Like being able to put out an issue 1 is hard enough. Most creators can't get past issue 2. And so I would say start with a one-shot story. Learn how to write a one-shot and gradually work your way up to a series.
I think you may have answered the second question with that, but the second question is it better to do a digital work or to do digital and physical?
Oh, both. I mean, if you do a digital book, might as well do a physical. Like you already have the file, so like might as well. It doesn't hurt. Like you'll make more money with the physical. Um, like it just like depends on your strategy. Um, if you're using your digital book as a way to get physical sales, you could give away that digital book for free and then have people go like, oh yeah, like I'll buy the physical book. Like um, it's a great loss leader or a lead magnet. But yeah, like I think you should always set yourself up to creating comics that end up having a physical release, because people love physical books.
Indeed. All right. Now, question number 3, is it better to have multiple books or just focus on one to build a community, then branch off?
That's a really good question. I was talking with an artist about this actually. That's such a good question. So I don't have the right answer. That I don't know if there even is a right answer. So I think that you should I think you should stick to one series. Like find the series that you can build a community off of, and then once you have a strong footprint, you can then branch off. Um or you just double down on that successful series. So for example, I did a bunch of books before I finally like got attention. So I did like my series Demons. It was like 3 volumes, 15 issues. I made maybe $4,000 in total off of like four like Kickstarter campaigns. Like it just was not hitting. I then did like a sci-fi graphic novel called Entity, and that one did pretty good, but still like it just didn't like pay numbers. I started doing a series called Chefs. Everyone, the audience loved it. The Kickstarter people loved it. It funded in 3 hours. I hated the book and I canceled the Kickstarter in 3 days. I hated the series, even though everyone else loved it. And then I kind of took a break from comics, and then I came out with The Girl with the Megafist, and people started liking that. And it was my best campaign. And then I did Girl with the Megafist Volume 2, and then that was my best campaign. And then I did Girl with the Megafist Volume 3, and that was my best campaign. And the reason why I started branching out and doing different series was because I needed income like for my family. Like my job just wasn't cutting it, and so I was like, okay, what if I do My Sexy Witch Academia? Oh snaps, like that killed it. Okay, what if I have a strong audience? What if I do another series, Super Farmer Sisters? Oh my gosh, like that one super hit too. And so for me, I started doing all these other series as a way to like grow my profits as a business. But if you were to ask me from like an artistic level, I wish that I had was still just focusing on The Girl with the Megafist, because I'm doing all these other series now and I'm very involved in every one of them. I personally write and draw every page of The Girl with the Megafist. I should be on like volume like 7 right now. Like I should be preparing to like launch volume 7 on Kickstarter. And instead I did volume 4 Kickstarter. I was late on that fulfillment of that book by a year, and I don't I'm like and like I don't know when I'm going to do volume 5. Like my goal is to do volume 5 sometime by like February, but like I'm so busy with these other stories that like I don't have time to like sit down and just draw this book. And so and like luckily I like these other stories. People like the stories and we're able to keep making them. But deep down I'm like, man, this is the story that like this is like my baby. This is my child. Like I write and draw every page. And so I think that's like the most painful part. But you have to, but once again, like you have to decide what works best for you. Like look at like Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini. Like they probably could launch a bunch of side series, and like they could hire a bunch of like actually no, like you can see them starting to do that actually. Like they're starting to branch out, but it's all within the Common America world. They're starting to do like more books within the Common America universe and hiring various artists to do that. But like they're also taking off Black Ops. Like they're not doing Black Ops anymore. So now they're just going to double down on Common America. That their singular story. So I think every creator just has to figure out what works best for them. I would say find one story that works for people and you stick to that for a while, cultivate an audience, and then decide if branching out and doing others is good for you.
Great advice. Now, the last question. Is there a sweet spot when it comes to pricing a book that works for the customer, but also funds the next book and helps make a little bit of profit for the writer?
I think sometimes creators get a little like too I think pricing comes down to the creator at the end of the day, because every creator is different. So for example, Tim and Mark can price their books the way they can because their overhead is their time, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So they're not paying anyone to make these books. It's just their own personal time. Mark on his free time writes Common America, and Tim on his free time draws Common America, and then they put it out. And luckily, because of its popularity and the volume that they do, they can then get good pricing for their hardcovers, so they can make good profit and pay themselves back. Now, other creators, like if you're strictly a writer and you have to fork over $50 to $100 per page on a comic book, like just doing a 20 page book and only doing like the line art, that could get to $2,000. And then if you add color, that could get it to like $4,000. And if you don't know how to letter, that could add up to like now $4,500. And then cover artists, and basically by the time you get to the like kickstarting this book, you're down $7,000 to $8,000. And so then you price your book like, then they're just trying to price the book so that they can like break even, and hopefully have a profit to make future books. And that's why most people don't get past issue 1, because it's so freaking hard. It's so expensive. So like for me, like my books, The Girl with the Mega Fist, they're 200-page graphic novels. I priced the first 4 volumes at $15 a piece, and I got a lot of backlash from people saying like, oh my gosh, like that's so cheap. But I didn't have any overhead expenses except my time, and it did really well. Now with like printing costs going up, I have to bump it up to like $20, but still like $20 for a 200-page graphic novel on Kickstarter. Like that's still a killer. Whereas though, like Bold Assassin or My Sexy Witch Academia or Super Plumber Sisters, those are 40-page books, and I priced them at $10, because I have to take into account that I had to pay an artist to draw those books. So I have overhead. I wasn't able to trade my time for my overhead. And even then, like, I pay those artists to do the line art. I still sketch the books. I write the books. I gray tone the books. I letter the books. I color the covers. So like, I still trade my time. So like, if I had paid a team to do this, my issues would most likely, I'd probably have to do $20 issues for a 40-page book, because that's just how much I would have to charge to get my money back and break even. So I think for creators, really pricing just comes down to what they can do to survive. I'll say this, it's not my biggest. One of my biggest pet peeves is when readers or fans compare what you're doing in your business to other creators. And an example of this is, I remember this happened to me a bunch, like people going, hey Tyler, how come you're not doing 70-page hardcover color books like Iconic is, and it's $10. Like, that's who I'm going to back. That's the standard. It's like, it's not the standard. That's what they're able to do. I'm not able to do that. So if you that's why like the standard, there really is no standard. It's whatever you as a creator decide as a business. And I think fans, it's very detrimental as a fan to put those standards that other creators have achieved and place them on people that just don't have that. Like I'll say like my books are typically around for some reason, I don't know why. I always say my book will come out on this month, and it always comes out 3 weeks later. I don't know why. Like, I keep trying to set my pace. Like, I try to set my delivery date like one more month like later than like usual, and I'm still like always 2-3 weeks late. And I'll have people go like, well, Tyler, how come you don't get your books out fast enough? Like Iconic's able to get their books out fast enough. And it's like, okay, well, don't dump that standard on me, because I write script, I write thumbnail, gray tone, and letter the books. I do all the promotion. And then when all is said and done, I send all those files to the printer, and then I also ship out every single book by hand. I package all the books, I ship them out to people. I love Tim and Mark. They were smart. They had the money to invest and bring on a team, and they have a warehouse of people, of employees who ship the books out for them. I don't have that. So if it's like, how come you're not drawing? Oh, it's because I'm fulfilling the books. How come you're not fulfilling the books? Oh, it's because I'm drawing. So when it comes to like pricing and standards, long story short, it's really up to the creator and what the creator can handle.
This is true. Well, I think you answered all my friends' questions right to the T. And hopefully,
Okay.
I hope it helps him, and I hope it helps out any viewers that are wanting to get into the comic industry. What?
Hopefully, or just like run from the comic book industry. It's, I don't know. Sometimes I think this is like the shittiest hobby. Like it is. I'm really selling myself, aren't I? It's like from a business standpoint, as a creator, it's like it is so difficult, and then from like a reader standpoint, it's like it can be so difficult. And so it's, at least from a creator standpoint, I say like if you want to like start making comics and you get all giddy, like I have some caution. I know a lot of creators who've dropped like $20,000 on art and are like have had divorces or have like lost their homes because they were like, I'm gonna make comics, and they just weren't smart financially with it because they tried it. Like, I just got to make that better book. I've just got to get this artist. If I have this better artist, I'll make a better book, and therefore I'll make more money. It's just like, it's that sometimes doesn't equate. I had a friend who was like, I'm $2,500 in the hole because I paid for this professional comic book cover from this professional artist, and I thought I would make my money back, and I didn't. And I'm just like, man, that sucks. So you're gonna come and make comics, be cautious.
It's something you have to really, really weigh out on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is there anything else you want to say before we close this out?
Anything else happy? No, go check out Bullet Assassin Living in a Fantasy World on Kickstarter. Yeah, by the time this is out, it'll probably be like 30 to 24 hours left. I'm also leaving it on late pledges, so it'll probably be available for like 3 to 4 weeks after. Because I'll close those pledges. I'll close the pledging ability right before I go to print. So if you want to back the book and it's like it's over, it's not. You can still back the book even after it's done. And then I've got one more Kickstarter left for the year. My Sexy Witch Academia #4, which is the finale of the first arc. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on tonight. I had a great time.
I'm glad you were able to come, man. But other than that, folks, that's going to be it for this episode of the Questionable Perspective Podcast. We will see y'all next time.